Good morning, everyone. Morning. I see we're a back half of the room kind of group. That's okay, more space for me. Well, welcome to the NC Live Annual Conference, Day 2, our in-person day, as well as our hybrid virtual day. So hello to virtual people watching. My name is Amelia Rodarte. I'm the Community Engagement Librarian at NC Live. And I'm just going to start us with a few logistics for today's conference and then turn it over to Rob. So for in-person attendees, you have a schedule in your packet. This will tell you what's happening today, which rooms to be in. This is our main room. We also have breakout rooms over to your right. And we have our keynote just after this at 10 o'clock, which we're very excited about. For virtual attendees, you can continue to attend conference sessions by logging into Sched or going to our website and seeing the links there. And as always, virtual people, send us an email if you have any issues. If you're in person, just find a friendly NC Live staff person. We will probably be out by the front check-in if you can't find one of us in the room. Okay, we have prizes. You may have already gotten some when you checked in, but we are having a prize bundle. So all the things in one, plus some special other items. So for those of you who've checked in, I'm going to pick 2 lucky winners. And we'll see who gets an extra prize. And if you're the winner, just come to the check-in table and we'll give you your prize bundle. Okay, our first winner. Samantha Thorne. Yay. Okay, winner number 2. Barbara Valdez. Woohoo. You can wait till a break. Yeah, we'll have your names. Awesome. We do have a couple of new professional development and training offerings that I wanted to remind you of. We have crash courses on NC Live resources. This is a brand new series of training videos and infographics that we've created for 4 of the most used and most popular NC Live resources: Heritage Quest, Transparent Language, Novelist Plus, and Learning Express Library. So throughout today, I think we're going to have some iPads set up. If you want to check out the videos in person, we'll have those set up at our check-in table. You can also check it out on our YouTube channel. Coming up in June, we have our 2nd annual DEIA Learning Series. It's a series of free virtual webinars from experts throughout North Carolina, some external experts as well, I believe. So it should be a really great series this June. You can see more details on each event and register on our website. So that's it for me. That's my very brief intro, and I will turn it over to Rob.
All right, good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all. And as Amelia pointed out, this is very much a librarian seating chart. Like the back row filled up, then the next row. I don't think this is COVID related. I think it's just how librarians operate. So anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. And also, I just want to give a big thank you to Amelia for planning the conference along with the OPAC, which is the Outreach, Promotions, and Partnership Committee. So we'll give those folks a round of applause. And I keep promising Amelia that as of tomorrow, she's allowed to take a vacation day. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so want to thank all those folks for planning it. And as you all know, we're in a weird middle ground where, you know, a lot of folks only want to do virtual things and a lot of folks can't wait to see faces. And so we're trying our best to accommodate both. So hopefully a lot of you were able to attend sessions on Friday, which were online. And then, of course, we'll have great sessions today, and we're still going to broadcast today's sessions to folks who couldn't make it. So we're trying our best to make everybody happy. Obviously, there's a smaller crowd than we're used to, but we're just glad to see you. It's been 3 years since we had any in-person annual conference. So we're, yeah, it's great. You're all still there in 3 dimensions. It's so cool to see you all. So thanks for coming out. Okay, so this is the 7th annual NC Live conference. We're really excited to be offering this format. We did do unique programming. So other than my introduction, everything that was done Friday was unique, and everything that's happening today is unique. So it's really 2 days of programming for this year. All right, so I always start with our mission in case you guys are unfamiliar, but NC Live's mission statement is to better support education, enhance economic development, and improve the quality of life of all North Carolinians. So I always try to sort of brand your brain with this so you don't forget. But think about these things as you're at your library and you're wondering, could NC Live help me with this? Or maybe you're having an issue, or there's a service you'd really want, but no one's offering it. If it fits into this mission statement, which is pretty broad, it's fair game, right? So let us know, let one of the committee members know. That's how we get all of our ideas. It's from you all saying, this thing is a real difficulty at my institution. Someone should do something about it. Those are the ideas that end up bubbling up to us. And as I go through our services, you'll see that a lot of these, if not all of these, emerged from conversations like that. All right, so let me just give you a quick tour of our services, and I'll give you some updated numbers so you can see how many people use each service. The first one we're best known for is content. So if you want to brag to your friends, I know when a librarian goes to a party, it's hard to impress folks sometimes, because they're like, well, I do this. And you're like, well, I'm a librarian. And then the room gets quiet. So just say that, anybody in North Carolina, if they have a library card, they have access to 1.6 billion things. And what's a thing? A thing could be a full text article. It could be an ebook, an audiobook, digitized newspapers, test prep, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a huge number. And I think especially when we talk to folks that live in communities where the physical library might not be huge, they look at the library and say, oh, my town's got a small library, it's not as big as the other, the big city down the road. Well, it doesn't matter when it comes to NC Live, right? As long as they have their public library card or an academic card, they have the exact same access to 1.6 billion things. So this is an impressive number. Not all states can brag about something like that. So please do use it if ever you're talking about NC Live, or you just want to talk about how your library has access to something, even bigger than its own collections. All right, so we want to try to make it as easy as possible for patrons to get to that content. So about 5 years ago, we licensed a discovery service called Summon. And Summon is really meant to be one search box, right? This is what people are used to on Google, right? Give me a search box. I'm going to type in a bunch of words. I'm going to misspell most of them, and still Google will know exactly what I wanted, which is kind of a miracle. So I'm not declaring that Summon is that smart, but it is closer to what folks expect, right? They're not necessarily ready for Boolean operators or any of that librarian stuff. So we license this on your behalf. It's pretty popular right now. We're seeing about 77 of our libraries use it, primarily academic libraries. Sometimes academics have an alternative that they prefer, but it's great to see that, most of I would say about 2/3 of our academic libraries are using this. So that's really nice. Similarly, we wanted to make it easy for patrons to log in from offsite, right? So if someone's at home or someone's traveling, we don't want to make the login process so annoying that they just bail, right? I think you've all been in that situation where you can't remember your password, the forgot password doesn't email you. Our attention spans and our patience are pretty short, right? So if it's more than 2 minutes, most people just give up. So we don't want that to happen to the communities we serve. So similarly with Summon, we licensed a product called Easy Proxy, which makes it possible for a patron to log in one time, and then they could bounce around and look at all of the library's resources without being prompted to log in again or come up with a different username and password. And actually about 132 of our libraries are using Easy Proxy now. So that's something we host here in Raleigh, and you all can take advantage of. So if you don't have it, or you're running your own authentication service, let us know. This might be either an upgrade, or it might be a way to save some money. All right, and our website service. So we kept here, this is a classic example of when we would talk to libraries, they would say, I really don't like my website, or they would be embarrassed. Sometimes I would say, oh, is that on your website? And they're like, don't look at our website. We don't like our website. And so, I dug a little deeper, and basically it's a couple of things. Some libraries just don't have the staff. They don't have a web designer on staff. So show of hands, how many of you guys have a web designer that you can just call whenever and they'll help you? Very few. Okay, very few. And those that you do, you're very lucky. You should buy that person a present because you're very lucky. They're in high demand. So yeah, we knew that. And then also, even if you have an expert, they might not have the time. They might be managing the websites for the entire campus or the entire city, right? And so getting their attention is hard. So we thought, okay, could we build something on a platform that people are familiar with? And so we settled on LibGuides because most people have access to LibGuides. And then could we hire a designer to make something that meets accessibility standards, that looks good on mobile devices or any devices that a patron might be using? And then the main thing was, can we create a website service that anybody can configure? Right. So we don't want you to get stuck and have to call an expert. Like I heard a public library director, she was speaking at a venue like this, and she's like, it's so easy, even a library director can do it. And only she could say that. I would never say that. But it's really like put in your colors, point to your image, et cetera, et cetera. All this can be done by anybody. You need zero web design expertise to manage it. So we knew that a lot of libraries would already be accounted for, but we're surprised that 33 now are using it. And I've actually had a couple other consortia around the country that have licensed it. So it's being used in other states as well. So if you hate your website and you think this could be helpful, just let us know and we'll help you get started. All right, so one thing that we're doing behind the scenes to try to pull in traffic from Google to library resources is search engine marketing. So this is something that, it's really trying to make people aware of libraries when they have an information need, but they're not thinking about us. So probably most of us, even as librarians, if we need an answer to a question or we want to look something up, we're just going to Google it. And if that seems good enough, that's the end of our search. But we have a lot of resources at libraries that are even better, or in some cases authoritative, whereas what they're seeing online is not. So we decided to take advantage of a program called Google Ad Grants, where Google gives not-for-profits $10,000 a month in credit that you could use to create advertisements. So what you're seeing is a snippet from one of our ads, but this is something that any not-for-profit can set up. So we've been doing this for probably about 3 years now. And so we've created ads for things like heritage quests, things like, language learning, things that we think would appeal to folks. Because if someone wants to learn Spanish, they're probably going to go on Google and say, learn Spanish for free, right? And see what comes up. And a lot of those are going to be things that they have to pay for. But we have a language learning tool and we'd love to make them aware of it so they can, use it and save some money. So we created an ad that's, if someone types in learn Spanish for free, there's a good chance they'll see our ad. And at that point, they can click on it and one of two things happens. So either they have a library card already, which is great. They could just log in, use Easy Proxy, and now they're taking a Spanish lesson. So that's awesome. They might get to the point where they need a library card and say, well, I'm not a library card holder. I don't know what to do. So in that case, we didn't want it to feel like a bad experience. So we worked with the state library to set up a 10-day pass. So now if someone has gone from Google to an NC Live resource and said, I really want to take this Spanish lesson, they can type in their name, email address, and zip code. That's all we ask for. And then they have 10 days of access to all NC Live resources. And then using their zip code, we'll start to email them and say, okay, 8 days left, 6 days left, 2 days left. And we'll say, go down to your local library, which is fill in the blank based on your zip code, and get a permanent card so you don't lose access. So this is something we've been doing behind the scenes on behalf of everybody. So you may have a person walk in and say, NC Live told me to get a library card. And this is probably what's going on. They probably got a taste of library resources and now they don't want to lose access. So that's another way we're trying to funnel folks back to libraries. All right, so just a couple more here. Those were all those services I described are really focused at patrons. We have a couple that I want to talk about that are focused on you all, so librarians across the state. And the first one, and today's a good example, is professional development. So I would say, I think it's been 5 years ago, we launched our first training program, and we really started with NC Live resources. So how can we teach folks to better use resources? We would work with vendors to provide training sessions. We've created tutorials that are self-paced, and it's really grown. So there seems to be quite a demand for not just resource training, but teach me leadership skills, or teach me other skills that I could use in my profession so I can keep growing. So anyway, last year in total, we had over 23,000 folks attend at least one of our sessions, which is really big. Last year was around 25,000, and that was the first year of the sort of COVID re-emphasis on professional development. So more or less, it held steady over the last couple of years. We do partner with some folks. So we partner with the state library so that we're not duplicating. We don't want to, there's plenty to train on. We don't need to do it twice. So we partner with them. And then we also partner with NCLA through their LAMS chapter, which is the leadership chapter of NCLA. And they sponsor all of our leadership workshops. So, and we partner with, I want to say 8 or 9 other consortia around the country where they'll share their experts with us, and we'll share some North Carolina experts with them. So anyway, thank you all for participating in this. We do have a committee called the Training Advisory Committee that helps us figure out what to train on next. So if you have an idea for a topic that we haven't covered, or maybe we've done, a beginner level and you want the next, intermediate level, let us know and we'll try our best to set that up. All right. Maybe not the most glamorous, but we do have a help desk, right? And last year we solved about 1,300 cases. So this is when you're stuck, a resource isn't working, you have a question about, that easy proxy, I just can't figure it out. We're there for you, right? And we do field a lot of phone calls and emails, et cetera. So again, I try to make this slide, but it's hard. But anyway, we're there for you. So Monday through Friday, give us a call. We do have some emergency monitoring in place. So if something really bad happens at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, we'll be notified of that. But fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Okay, and then the last thing is promotion and marketing. So we know how hard it can be. Someone walks into your library, they're confronted with all of these choices, right? Do I search the catalog? Do I search the journal collection? Do I go right into the ebook platform? And then here's this NC Live thing, which is another 1.6 billion. That could be a little overwhelming to the average person. So we work with our vendors to try to provide promotional and marketing materials that you can then use with patrons. So just recently, a project that Amelia led was to launch a portal where basically if you want handouts, like you want physical materials about NC Live resources, you can request them on our website and then they'll be shipped directly to you for no cost. So this is something we used to do, but we kind of got away from because of costs, but we were able to convince our vendors to do this for free. We convinced them it's in their interest to promote their resources. So a little mafia kind of maneuvering, but I'm like, you want us to renew, don't you? And they're like, yes, we do. So, so please check that out. It's only been up for maybe 3 weeks. So don't feel bad if you haven't heard of it yet. But yeah, it's on our website and you can go and request materials to be shipped directly to you. All right, so I think we're in the home stretch. So this is just a list of everything I covered. These slides will be distributed. So if you just want one slide, all the things NC Live does, this is that slide. Okay, so we are trying to figure out what's next for us. And we've been doing some strategic planning with the executive committee of NC Live, and we've been working with an external consultant. So we're kind of, I would say, maybe 60% through the project. It's a little hard to put a number on it. But we've been doing a lot of research and data collection about, what do you all like from our current services? What do you use? What could we do better? And then what other things should we be thinking about doing at NC Live? So we had about 300 and I believe 60 respondents to our survey. And there's a lot of data, but I try to just pull together like the top 5. These are the top 5 things that people said, okay, if NC Live had additional funding, which is kind of a big if, but if someone wrote us a check, what will we do with that money, or what should we do with the money? So no surprise, people said buy more stuff. Does it shock you? Like, are there resources that you would love us to buy, but we've not been able to because of budget? Yeah, probably. So people said, if you get more money, buy us more stuff. That seems straightforward. And then the next 4 are pretty bunched up. It's between 40% of people requested it down to 37. So virtually the same. People wanted us to explore either a statewide catalog to replace their local catalog or some sort of consortial borrowing service. That's where, libraries in North Carolina could share physical materials back and forth so that your collection could be bigger than just what's, in your physical collection. A few other things that were requested: a tool or some sort of support for meeting accessibility goals. And this was amplified Friday. When we voted on things, people were pretty enthusiastic about that. I know you guys are being pressured to meet accessibility standards. I know the community college in particular, I hear a lot from community college librarians about, folks on campus being even more and more stringent about meeting them and not just saying, oh, we tried, or here's a VPAT, and that's the end of it. They're demanding that, we either pressure the vendor to make things more accessible or drop it. Like, don't subscribe to something that's so bad in terms of accessibility. So that came up again on Friday as something that folks are interested in us trying to pursue. Some folks wanted us to either resuscitate our Open Education North Carolina program, which was basically a program to provide free textbooks to college students and to give faculty members incentives to change to a free textbook. And then lastly, a bit of a surprise, some folks were saying they would like some support or additional support with preservation and digitization. So those are the top 5 that came up. So we did a poll on Friday, and Amelia and I are looking at each other. We forgot to set one up for today, sorry, but we can do it afterwards in the survey, so we will do that. But we got a lot of good data on Friday about this. So I think we're honing in on maybe a couple of things. Okay, so I know this happened Friday, but it was recorded. So if any of this interests you, we did record the session on strategic planning, so you can see the feedback we got. And also you can hear from Cordelia Anderson, who was the consultant we worked with. So that's a good recording to check out. All right, and also on Friday, we launched a survey that's very important to you. So once a year, we do a survey where we ask you, which NC Live resources do you like? Which NC Live resources do you not like? And what else should we buy? Right, and this is what the resource committee uses to decide, do we cancel this? Do we renew this? Do we go shopping for something new? They review all the data, so your vote will be tallied and will not be ignored. So occasionally we'll have someone say, I want this thing, and then we'll contact the vendor and they'll say, that's $7 million. And we'll say, thank you very much. So we can't always buy what you want. And that's a real example. I laughed for a long time on the phone before I could say anything. But anyway, yeah, so we can't always buy everything you ask for, but we do, if it's within the realm of our budget, we do prioritize it based on this survey. So this came out and it'll be up for probably 2 months at least. So feel free to go here and just vote. What do you like? What do you not like? What else should we add to our collections? All right, and I'm excited to announce that next year, barring some unforeseen apocalyptic event, I don't know what to say anymore, something worse than the last few years, we will be meeting in person again, this time in Asheville. So we're gonna be at AB Technical Community College in Asheville. It'll be on Friday, May 19th. So you can mark your calendars if you want. And then we'll also be trying to satisfy the virtual audience, and we'll do something probably that following Monday. We're not totally locked in on that, but yeah, so the 19th and the 22nd are the days to mark. And there are a few things to do in Asheville, in case you're not aware. So that should be it always gets a good crowd when we go out there. Okay, if you missed it on Friday, we had an amazing opening keynote speaker. So Tracy D. Hall, who's the executive director at ALA, she gave a great talk, and I encourage you to check out the recording. It was, very interactive. She's a great speaker. I've never seen this much participation in an online event. It was constant. So it was really interesting to see her present. So please do check her out. And then in just a minute or two, we're going to have our closing keynote, Terry Otteson. So I think that's everything. We have probably a minute or two for questions, and then I think we'll have to switch over. You guys can stay here, but we'll switch over and Terry will be presenting virtually to you all. So I'll just check with Amelia. Amelia, do we need to do anything to switch over? Okay. So in the meantime, I'll do questions. Okay. Yeah, so any questions? I know I just threw a lot of info at you and you're still being caffeinated, but any questions or comments or ideas? Oh yeah, so yeah, the question is about the resource survey. It's intended for librarians. Yeah, so we figure you guys will sort of poll your audience, your patrons, and let us know. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, are we all shy? We're our first in-person event in a while. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just repeat the question in case you didn't hear, but yeah, the question was for the Google Ad Grants, is that available to all not-for-profits or just larger organizations? As far as I know, and I'm pretty confident in this answer, it's available to any not-for-profit. Now, the challenge is that setting up those ads is not as easy as you might hope. We actually contracted with a search engine marketing expert who helped us set those up. Now, once they're set up, it's not terrible, to monitor them, and you can, you can change an ad if it's not doing well, that kind of thing. But the initial setup is a bit of a learning curve. We've talked a few times about, could that be an NC Live service? Like, should the consultative role be something we do? It hasn't really, gone very far, but we've batted the idea around a few times. But yeah, as far as I know, any not-for-profit has that credit available if they can set up the ads. Yeah, it's one of those ways that Google sort of balances out their public persona. They're giving you free training and free ads, and meanwhile, they're doing other things. Yeah, any other questions? All right. Well, if you missed the Plinko board during not right now, everyone leaves the room, but during a break,